Welcome to this presentation. First of all, my wish is that you are all safe and that everybody around you is living in good health. My name is Pierre. I am from SecureCube Technologies Canada, and in this brief presentation, I will give you an overview of our philosophy, our history, and the technologies we have developed for CDR analysis, which is the analytics, the software, which allows investigators to dig really, really deep into all the information that is given from the various types of phone records and also correlate that type of information to digital extractions, mobile extractions such as UFED or other types of systems, and also correlate phone record data to GPS tracks or CCTV camera feeds. All kinds of digital information can be uploaded into one system and then used for a very in-depth but user-friendly and easy to understand analytics process. Our second specialization is obviously on cell site analysis. There is no analysis of phone records without a detailed understanding of how the digital environment related to cell phones and smartphones is actually spreading the signal, how it develops, the way it communicates with our devices. There is a big difference between a theoretical idea of what a cell tower can develop in regard to a signal and what in reality real coverage of a cell tower is. And I'm going to show you how we can apply this type of theory to the software, the BTS tracker hardware module and the BTS tracker analytics software model. We also provide services of extractions and digital analysis, and we have developed also some solutions in regard to the cybersecurity, especially in regard to those stingrays and IMSI catchers, which are becoming a big threat. So SecureCube Technologies Canada basically works on CDR analysis, on cell site analysis, on the correlation of these two aspects of digital data. From this type of knowledge, it has developed a system which is able to focus on the understanding of the digital environment developed and spread by a cell tower network and understand if there are any threats to that type of standard situation, let's say. We are specialized in training and education of various police forces and also let's say, universities and colleges which focus on digital forensics. And we are very happy that, that you're here to join us. I'm going to give you a quick theoretical, let's say, overview of what the philosophy is, and then I'll be very happy to show you how the softwares and the user interfaces are really easy to use. So what is a SecureCube type of CDR investigation and cell forensics? So we have two types of software that go into this sense, which as a matter of fact can integrate and become one whole system. The SecureCube phone log software system is focused on importing and parsing and organizing and simplifying the way that all types of phone records and all types of digital data can be parsed and imported. We actually are developing an artificial intelligence which is able to, let's say, organize all the various types of spreadsheets and Excel sheets and do the importing for you. At which point you can perform a very in-depth analysis, which I will show you again on the software, which starts from the analysis and the deep mining of all the types of information, the heat maps, the contacted users, and also obviously a mapping system. Integrated to this, I'm talking about the map, we have developed a system, a hardware solution, which in fact goes out on the field and is able to perform, as you can see here, a digital survey in real time of the cell towers that are operating in the various areas in which I am working. You gather the real information on the real coverage of a cell tower, and this allows the possibility of better geolocating the events that you have extracted from your, let's say, phone records. So the importance of digital forensics is being able to create a multi-level correlation of various sources. One user phone record is not enough. One digital or mobile extraction isn't enough if it isn't held strong by various other sources that confirm or, on the other hand, dispel what a digital alibi could be. How can we do this? Well, in fact, many of you know that there are various identification numbers that create a good idea of what a user using a cell phone is doing. The IMSI number identifies the SIM card. The ISMI number identifies the SIM card through the various numbers. The email will identify the device. There are various numbers that uh, just like your social security number identifies you in one and only way, again, the combination of the email and the IMSI numbers identify the devices. Obviously, every cell in every cell tower presents the same type of situation in which each number identifies one cell. Once the cell has been identified, it is possible to geolocate through the lists, the cell lists that the network infrastructure creates in order to be able to perform maintenance and performance analysis. This helps you in a way that it creates cell tower lists. Now, this image is very important on where we're going now today with this presentation. These points here from the cell lists that are created give the theoretical coverage of the various technologies expressed by those cell towers. The reality is that, of course, this is all logged into some sort of a spreadsheet, which can be uploaded easily in the import phase I was talking about earlier. This is the starting point. You integrate this knowledge, the cell lists, with user CDRs. CDRs are the phone records of this gentleman, for example, who is making a telephone call. The phone record will record who, what, and when, which is the device and the network operator, where, because it will log the identity of the cell. And we go back to the other phone record in which I have the geolocation of those cells. And also who, namely the receiver and the caller. This is an example. It's not very fun reading if you had to read 100 of these. Again, you have another type of phone record, which is a subscriber CDR, in which, for example, when I go and sign a contract either online or at a store, I give my name, my surname, my date and place of birth, the residence, and other personal information. This comes very handy when I have to go and analyze all three of these types of phone records, including the cell lists. Here's another example of this type of log. Now, a traffic CDR, now this is very important. Not only do the phone companies keep a record of what is a user, let's say the activity of a user, it also keeps the activity and logs the activity of every single cell. Now, I'm going to get quickly into the correlation. If I am able to correlate a phone call generated by Mr. X, and I'm also able to use the cell phone, I'm able to determine from the user call detail record a cell on a cell tower, and I correlate that cell tower's phone records, and I'm able to join the two events together, I am now working in a multi-evidence correlation way of performing my investigation. From the cell tower, then I will extract the position, the theoretical coverage, and then I will also go and check with the real coverage with the BTS tracker how these are all combined together. This is an example of a phone record regard to the traffic expressed by a single cell tower. The various events that we log through, let's say, phone records are SMS messages, phone calls, and the connection to the internet. And of course, all the CDRs, the phone records, come in various types, shapes, and forms. It's just like humanity. The good thing is phone log, as I said, is able to import, parse these, and organize them in a very simple way. Here is an example of a plain text. Here is a CSV. Here is an Excel file. Here is a PDF file. It is all very difficult, but please remember, even if they come in all these different ways, they are source, a good, solid, integer source of information. When these are collected by the phone companies, they don't get modified, and it is a good starting point for your investigation. What is a hash code? Is how we protect the data going into phone log. Once you export, excuse me, once you export the results you find through your analytics processes, the software has been created because we are digital experts. We've been in the courtroom. Every file that is exported is protected by the hash code in order to 100% protect the integrity of your work as per international best practices. So this analysis and analytics of what you do on a series of phone records, be it a user phone record, be it a cell tower phone record, the traffic, be it a subscriber log where you have the personal information, be it the phone record of the cell installations, you can combine this with mobile extractions. You can extract, as you well know, using UFID or Celebrite on various systems, contact lists and pictures and chats and SMS and emails, to name a few. But the moment you have extracted these and you are able to correlate them to the sound information that is found in the phone records, then you are creating 100% 360 degrees investigation. Here is just a little screenshot of phone log where all of this that I'm talking to you about is shown. Theoretical coverage, a GPS track, you have some points, and of course, all the phone records related to that cell tower. What will be integrated here is what you do with BTS Tracker. The coverage, the survey of the real coverage, that is seeing if this theoretical lobe of that cell tower is actually, in fact, spreading its signal here as opposed to here, for example. So this is your job, because anti-forensics, let's say the people who have the job of understanding of what your evidence is true or false, will try to dispute your work. Phone log helps you to organize. BTS tracker helps you to go and see what is the truth behind the digital environment that is creating a cell network. This is the device, one of the versions. It goes out and performs a physical survey of what the cell towers are investigating. What can affect the signal? In fact, buildings, the weather, prioritization, roaming agreements, the rain. In New York City, you're going to have windows everywhere, as in Toronto. So the signal is going to be deviated. Once you do a BTS coverage representation from a theoretical, just like in this image here, you will start surveying what is the reality of the signal. This was supposed to be the theoretical coverage. No coverage there. In fact, my survey has shown, or my series of surveys, that the coverage is actually here. Crime did not happen here. Crime happened here. I'm describing in a nutshell what could be the analysis of, let's say, a digital alibi. I made a phone call, but I was in this area. I was nowhere close to where the crime scene was, but as a matter of fact, there you go. So operational BTS surveys means going out in the field and actually being able to analyze not only one cell tower, but all the cell towers, as you can see, that are operating in one area, in particular, the area in which you are performing that survey. You move along a certain path, for example, a path of interest of where a crime or a series of crimes were performed, and you're collecting the power and the technology and all the types of datums relative to the cell site that you are analyzing. It's very user-friendly, as you can see. The results are logged. The results are logged in a simple way. You can use this as an app, and you can then load the results in the BTS tracker software if you are simply interested in analyzing what the cell site is actually expressing, and also placing it on a map and seeing what the real coverage of those cells that you are analyzing right here is. You can place it on a map and understand what the reality of the digital environment is, or as we suggest, combine the analytics functions of phone log to the analysis and, let's say, survey functions of BTS tracker in order to create a, let's say, an analysis on map from phone records to cell site coverage together. together. This is what a phone log is creating. It's creating an analytics. You remember a couple of minutes ago when I showed you all those phone records, difficult to understand? Well, phone log here is organizing them and giving you information, extracting and organizing for you the various information from those logs. And then the various points are your surveys, and you are in fact combining on map the information that is coming from the original CDR and from your cell site analysis. I'm going to quickly now show you a few functions of PhoneLog. It's a very user-friendly software. I will open it right here. And as you can see, when I load the CDRs into the system, it's very easy to do. For example, right here, I have a little file folder in which I have, for example, a series of CDRs. As a matter of fact, here we are. I have a series of CDRs, one of which is in a very difficult to comprehend and understand CDR Excel file, but I don't have to worry about that. As a matter of fact, all I have to do is drag it and drop it into the system. It will, because we have a series of importers and have been creating importers for years and years internationally. It is a simple process of click or using a wizard. If there are any problems, our staff is here to assist you. And I can do this with, as a matter of fact, in one of our partner countries, we are processing 60 million to 200 million CDRs per day. So you are presented with much easier visualization starting from a map, and here all the types of information that you have collected in your database. I have 465 users, which are coming from the CDRs that I loaded. I have a series of IMEI and IMSI numbers. I also have my BTS logs because I did collect some information on my case and I uploaded it to the system so that I can do a hand-in-hand analysis of what happened in the case study that I'm analyzing. On one hand, I have CDRs. A series of CDRs would give me the past, let's say, digital behavior of a series of users. On the other hand, I have the real understanding of how those cell towers that contacted the users were able to spread their signal, and this gives me a more complete view of what is actually happening and what happened. I can load GPS logs, I can load GPX logs, I can load also all kinds of digital extractions. So once I have my general data, I can create my case maps, I can create my checklists, I can create my workspaces. But what I'm more interested in showing you now is how those difficult to understand Excel files now have been organized. Even if they differ between one each other, now they've all been organized in one way. I have a series of numbers, I have a series of, let's say, appearances in all the logs that I have. If I were interested in one, which I can tag, by the way, quickly, so I can organize, I can do now a really detailed analysis. I'll just click on one number, right click on the other. I can search for them on the records, which is going back. And from the, as you see here, from the original, let's say CDR, which is always shown because of the integrity we're talking about, I can look at various types of interactions that were made by this number in particular. I have the caller, I have the date, I have the subscribers, all of this is loaded from the CDRs. I have a starting cell code, I have the called person, and all the information that was collected on those CDRs organized, easy for me. I click on one event of interest, and I have immediately presented to me the details regarding that type of communication, because the software is able to go through the logs and present you with a simple visualization of the details of that call. Not only that, it is able to present it on a map for you. Each single event will be shown on a map. You can always go back and find what happened in that communication in particular. Now, what is this map showing? You remember in the screenshots that I was showing you before, These are my BTS logs. This is where, in fact, I have performed a cell site survey, and I know that this event that I am trying to understand on the map, which was connected to this cell tower, the cell tower, in fact, has this type of theoretical coverage, but as a matter of fact, the coverage of the signal of that tower is over here. This point that I've highlighted is where I have a point of interest, and now I know that that call was performed, yes, through the cell tower, but this is the generalized area that I'm more interested in because it's the truth. It's the truth. If I wanted to dig even deeper into this type of event, I would also be able to, I'm going to go back to my users menu. I can use other functions such as view on a timeline, which I like very much. I can add other entities on the timeline itself in this way, for example. And that pink highlighted day is where, for example, theoretically, I have a crime and I can confront easily all the type of events that happened in that time frame. This is just one of the functions. I can add all types of email and IMSI numbers and user numbers that I have all logged and organized thanks to the import phase. I'm just going to go back quickly to my search function. If I wanted to do an even more depth analysis of what I have in this case, I can also isolate the cell tower. The cell tower, through cell tower analysis, I can do with another function. I will find, for example, I'm going very quickly here, but this is just to give you an idea of what's going on. I can isolate a cell tower and the information will be given to me to its location, its district, its address, etc. What we do at SecureCube is combining the analysis, as I've told you before, the analysis and the user-friendly analysis of all types of phone records and being able to geolocate them and place them on the map, not only with theoretical coverages, but also with what is the analysis of the real coverage of those cell towers. I'm going to show you some of our statistics, the analytics functions that we have. I showed you timeline, but I would like to also show you habits, for example. By adding an entity of interest, which I could, for example, get from the various types of phone records that I have, I can isolate one number, add that entity, and the software will automatically and very quickly, as a matter of fact, as you can see, extract and mine all the useful information for an investigator from all the files that I have uploaded. It gives you a list of the files, and then it gives you a very simple visualization, excuse me, of what is going on in those phone records. You can see the analysis of the type of calls, of the type of users, of the contacted email and IMSI numbers. It will give me a heat map of all the events, let's say activity by hours, in which I can then again isolate and place on a map, as you can see easily. So it gives me a starting point, an analytical start point of what type of analysis I may want to pursue. It will show me all the cells that were contacted by that user. It will give me the statistics of their position, of the type of technology they're expressing. It will give me the possibility to create automatically graphs in which I will be able to understand what type of activity, for example, and the person's contacted. It will give me a timeline. And again, we always go back to the map. Now, this map is a complete map because it not only works on the theoretical or on the cell list, but it can be, again, I keep stressing this point, integrated by what is the analysis of the real coverage of those cell towers themselves. Because in fact, the BTS tracker module works hand in hand with this analytics tool, which is very deep and very quick. In searches, again, very simple to isolate a number and then go back and analyze the various aspects. Again, I may be interested in this type of, let's say, activity, and I may be interested, again, in just focusing on one cell tower. All I have to do is insert the name, the number of the cell tower, For example, in this case, I'm going to do it manually. 5042 61892. I will perform a more in-depth search, and the software will automatically um, um, reduce the number of possibilities and make it much more easier for me to go through, again, that type of analysis, which is almost impossible to do, let's say, with the pen and paper. There are many functions in PhoneLog. All of these have been created on the suggestions of investigators like you, in which, for example, an investigator would need to know, for example, the users in an area. I'm just going to click on this. One of our partners said, well, you know, I have all these CDRs. It would be very useful for me to be able to, for example, trace an area on a map and then, for example, search in that area, and I would be given, without having to parse through manually all the CDRs that are given to me, and be able to find, for example, on multiple areas, the cell towers that are operating in that area. Now, I just found one, for example, in this area. It gives me theoretical coverage, and then through the statistics that are generated and extracted from the CDR, I have my user details, the map, and then I can be interested in analyzing this type of interaction with the other functions, of PhoneLog. I quickly want to show you the interface of the BTS tracker software. As I told you, it is possible to have the device in your hand and perform in life, I mean, in-person survey of the data of what is the real coverage of a cell site. I upload the data simply, just like I showed you on PhoneLog. It's a very simple drag and drop. Once I have performed, let's say, a series of surveys, those create a series of logs which I can upload into the system. And the system, the software, BTS tracker software, is able to organize the, let's say, everything that is generated in that area, all the types of cell towers that are operating. Not only that, it will organize it for you by carriers. It will give you the possibility to analyze, let's say, and do some analytics work on the logs themselves. It will give you a log list, a cell tower list, and obviously, what is most important, as you can see, the information here is very detailed. It is giving for one given survey all the type of cell towers that were operating in the area, their location, their technology, and the power that they expressed during that, and the average signal strength that they expressed during that survey. But it's even more than that, because you can place on the map and perform your analytics on the map itself, isolating, for example, by network operator, by technology, etc. Not enough time here for me to give you all the functions and all the beautiful, let's say, easy visualizations that you can perform with PhoneLog. I'm just going to do one quickly. For example, right here. You can create all kinds of interactions and cross searches between multiple entities, and then of course place them on the map and be able to demonstrate, not only print them, but print them in a protected mode which respects the best practices of the digital forensics, in order for you to sit in front of a court and show what you have been able to analytically mine from the results. We are available to meet you, even in this, let's say, new way of performing this type of occasion of meeting potential customers and contacts and collaborators. So please search for us. The website again is securecube.ca. You will find some more information there in regard to all the type of technology we are developing. And from me, Pierre, and from all my colleagues and staff and partners, we look forward to getting to know you through this experience. I wish you well.